What's good? What's good? I'm back. Yours truly, the one and only Paul Pickett, host of the Paul Pickett Podcast, aka Triple P, aka the Common Sense Podcast, your source for music, sports, politics, world events, and much, much more. Today, I'm going to react to a video of Joe Rogan talking about the pyramids and talking about the fact that no pharaohs were ever found inside a pyramid. But before we do that, let's give you a word from Dizzle.
Joke got me addicted, ain't no coke. Let's just have a toast. Anybody want some smoke? Cause it's up, I be dizzled up. Catch me sipping with my double cup. Can't just have one, you gotta double up. You pour it, gotta watch it bubble up. I ain't gon' lie, I cannot get enough. When Callie said I need another one, gon' have you coming back for more. But go get it while it's hot, before it be sold out in your stores. That dizzle.
That's right, that Dizzle. Dizzle is a premium luxury liqueur mixed with agave tequila, French cognac, and orange liquor mango mix. Just throw your Dizzle on ice, and it's nice. If you want to order your very own bottle or bottles of Dizzle premium luxury liqueur, go to dizzlebrand.com. Click on our locations. Click on one of the top 3 website links. I recommend Emilio's Beverage. Must be 21 and over. Shipping and handling is included. Below that is locations in California, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Arkansas, and hopefully coming soon to a state or city near you. All right, let's get into it. Joe Rogan, the pyramids, and that's the thing. Pyramids is, I could talk about the pyramids anytime. It's one of my most intriguing and interesting topics ever, man. Is the pyramids of Egypt and just Egyptian culture in general. It's just so much mysteries around like how they really built the pyramids. We got like actual theories and what's not. It's pretty much like God. Who's God? Who built the pyramids? I don't think we'll ever know though. Let's keep it moving.
To the Gods you released in the 90s. It was
1995.
That's when I first read it, and I became obsessed. What motivated you to put that out?
It was a process, really. I used to be a current affairs journalist. I was the East Africa correspondent for The Economist. I had no interest in history whatsoever, but I began to come across things, particularly traveling initially in Ethiopia and then in Egypt, which made me wonder about the past. And, standing in front of the Great Pyramid of Egypt is an awe-inspiring experience, especially when you've never seen it before. And in 1989, when I first saw it, I had never seen it before. 6 million tons, 481 foot high, 13-acre footprint, this massive thing. And archaeologists are saying it's just the tomb of a pharaoh, and yet no pharaoh's body was ever found inside it, or indeed inside any ancient Egyptian pyramid. There had to be another explanation. And I've always been a contrarian. I've always tried to give an opposite point of view. I hate it when there's just a single narrative that says this is the truth and there is no other truth. And so I felt it was important to start giving an alternative point of view, and I started to look into it in depth. Could there be something missing from the story of our past? And that's why I ended up writing Fingerprints of the Gods, to put that information before the public, to allow people access to information that they had not had access to before, and to begin to think for themselves instead of just accepting the word of the so-called experts. The experts know a great deal. I couldn't do anything I do without the work that archaeologists do, but they shouldn't be given a monopoly over the story of the human past. Our past belongs to us. It belongs to all of us. And everybody, whether they're an academic or whether they're a man in the street, they've got something to contribute.
Let me stop for a second. That's the problem with religion, is they want to have a monopoly over history and over the past. And I think they're all wrong. I think we're so disconnected. It's like he was saying that, experts are saying, well, this was just a tomb for a pharaoh. I mean, that's a mighty big tomb. But the original pyramids, if I'm not mistaken, had golden tips on them. And those tips were supposedly significant for something, like a source of bringing in energy or something. Let's keep it moving.
To the idea of our past.
And the Younger Dryas impact theory, when was that first brought out?
2007. That was when it first brought out. It immediately caught my eye because when I wrote Fingerprints of the Gods, I proposed that there had been a gigantic global cataclysm about 12,500 years ago, but I didn't really know what had caused it. I suggested a number of possibilities, and then suddenly in 2007, out comes this hypothesis with mainstream backing by mainstream scientists saying that it looks like there was a series, not just one impact, but multiple impacts all over the Earth around 12,800 years ago that caused this cataclysm. And I began to follow that theory. And
let me pump the brakes, which goes to say that we've always had climate change. The Earth has always experienced climate change. What was the Ice Age? I just think we're going into a cycle, and we're at a certain point in the cycle, of how the Earth's, atmosphere and climate evolves and adapts.
About 2013, it became clear to me that these scientists were onto something really big. And I dived back into it and ended up writing another couple of books, Magicians of the Gods and America Before, which we talked about on your show back in 2019, just to try to put that information out there. And it's fascinating, really. I'm very lazy the way that archaeologists react to an alternative point of view. In my case, they almost never get to grips with the material that I've put out there in the books. They just say, oh, Hancock, he's a pseudoscientist. He's a fraud. He's a liar. But they never say why I'm a pseudoscientist, why I'm a fraud, or why I'm a liar. They just throw those words out, and you go to Wikipedia, and that's what you see. And the point about Wikipedia is that's the first place, if somebody hears my name or hears about my ideas, first place they're going to go have a look is Wikipedia. And immediately
he's right. That's the first place everybody looks to try to figure out anything about anybody or just learn about who somebody is. They go and see if they got a Wikipedia.
They're going to get turned off, and you can't edit my Wikipedia page. They've locked it, and it's controlled by a group of academics. So I do find this incredibly irritating. But the only thing to do is to keep on going, and this is why, frankly, Joe, your show has been so important, because you're one of the very few people who's allowed this information to get out to the general public. This contrary information which the mainstream doesn't want to hear. You're a powerful platform that's allowed this information to reach so many more people than it otherwise would have reached, and I'm grateful to you for that.
Well, I'm grateful to you guys. I'm really grateful because it's such an exciting notion. It's such an exciting idea, and it makes sense when you look at these incredible structures that we don't really have an explanation for. Mm-hmm. And when we think about the conventional dating of modern history and modern civilization, they want to put it at around 6,000-ish years ago.
That's right. That's right. And then, that was the view really for decades, that civilization began about 6,000 years ago. And before that, there was no such thing as civilization. And they say that the first big megalithic structures were created by societies that were already agricultural societies. So they were generating surpluses, which allowed specialists to have the time to learn how to be architects and engineers and builders. But then suddenly, out of the blue, and we've got an episode on this in the series, comes Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, which is 11,600 years old. It's 5,000 years old than the supposed oldest megalithic structures, and it's a fucking enormous megalithic structure, probably the biggest megalithic structure on Earth, because so much of it is still underground, although we know what's there because of ground penetrating radar. Highly sophisticated, 20-ton pillars, beautiful astronomical alignments, deliberately buried by the people who created it. They ran it for about 1,000 years, and then they deliberately buried it. And archaeology is still struggling to explain this. They've now had to say, well, okay, somehow megalithic architecture began thousands of years before we thought it began. How are we going to explain this?
Let me start. He said that was Turkish. I can believe that, man, because Turkish have definitely left their imprint on history. Turkish had a lot to do with history. I mean, they were conquering like crazy. So I can definitely believe that they're probably one of the oldest civilizations that still exist. You know, like the Egyptians, as we know, are not the original Egyptians. They were conquered by Arabic countries or civilizations at some point. That's why they, portray most Egyptians as Arabic looking, if not they're portraying them as white in movies. But the original, Egyptians are Africans. Egypt is in Africa, so the original Egyptians would be black men, as America calls it, or African men. But yeah, I think we're so disconnected in civilization. We use these carbon dating techniques and stuff like that, but how accurate are they? How specific are they? Um, I'm pretty sure civilization has probably been around a lot longer than we think of. And what kind of civilizations are we talking about? Like, you know, are they only civilizations when they build large structures and big structures? I don't think so. Were the Native American civilizations? Because they were a mobile civilization. They chose to move mobile. They didn't stay in one place. And if I'm not mistaken, Native Americans didn't understand the concept of owning land at first, because they weren't trying to, per se, conquer for land like, everybody was on the other side of the ocean, or resources, land or resources or whatnot. Let's hear the last little bit what he got to say.
And they have to accept, this is one of the mysteries of Göbekli Tepe, that the archaeology does show this quite clearly, that when the work began on Göbekli Tepe 11,600 years ago, the entire population there were hunter-gatherers. They were not agriculturalists, generating those supposed surpluses that would allow experts in architecture to emerge. They were hunter-gatherers. And how, in God's name, do a group of hunter-gatherers wake up one morning and create something like this enormous scale? And then the mystery deepens, because at the same time that they're building the megalithic site, they're also suddenly doing agriculture. And I look at that as a contrarian. And I say, I actually don't think that this was something that was just dreamed up overnight by a group of hunter-gatherers. I think I'm looking at a transfer of technology. I think people came to that site who already knew how to do this stuff. And maybe they used that site to mobilize the local population, to push them into a new direction. And that was truly the beginnings of civilization as we know it. But I think it was a restarting of civilization, a reboot, not the actual beginnings. I think that.
I like what he said there, and I think we've rebooted and restarted probably a few times. And this is the thing, like, there's always going to be somebody that's ahead of the curve. Somebody that's always going to be ahead of the curve on everybody. Somebody that's always going to know more than everybody. So yeah, I could believe that somebody came. It doesn't even have to be somebody that was like a alien life form. It could just been somebody that was like a person who traveled alone that was just super smart, like the Albert Einstein at his time, and showed people, more advanced ways of living. And that's the thing. Mankind has always been on this journey to evolve. Like I posted a post about single motherhood actually aligning with the laws of nature, because male species, typically all the mammals, they just procreate and the males are just off in the wind. You never really see them again. And somebody, like, oh, I thought we were humans, not mammals. Like, and their whole concept of us not being mammals is that we walk on our own 2 feet. Okay, well, Apes walk on their own 2 feet. Gorillas walk on their own 2 feet. If I'm not mistaken, a freaking mongoose can walk on its own 2 feet. Maybe a honey badger, if I'm not mistaken. Like this idea and concept of just because you walk on your own 2 feet, you're not a mammal is some fucking horse shit if I ever heard it. And I'm sorry, you born walking on your own 2 feet? Are you born walking on your own 2 feet? No. Your parents have to fucking teach you and help you how to walk on your own 2 feet. And it probably takes a couple years before you even do it. You know what I'm saying? Think what kids are walking on their 2 feet about what age 2, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, this whole idea that because we walk on our own 2 feet, we're not mammals. Like we don't have sexual intercourse or procreate like a shit ton of other species. People always want to like, just because we've created technology and weapons and things, they always want to act like we're so inferior, and we're not. We're actually, I mean, superior. My bad. Let me rephrase that. We want to act like humans are superior to all animals, and we're not, man. Because there's things that make us weaker. Because we need our fathers. We need to be educated on everything in life. All other animals, they know that they know the natural way of things. Turtles are hatched out of eggs and just on their own from day one. Snakes on their own from day one. We gotta be taken care of 18 years or longer. We gotta be taught every little single thing in life. If not, we're dumb in a bag of bricks and we don't understand our purpose or our natural order in life, our natural purpose. So, we're also emotionally attached to people and family members and your lucky hat. And, emotional attachments are not strengths, they're weaknesses. It's called survival of the fittest for a reason, but now we're in this mindset where we support the unfit. But I love Egyptians culture. I don't think we'll ever understand how the Egyptians built the pyramids, why they built the pyramids. I don't think we'll understand if somebody gave them the technology. This is the thing. Whatever technology they used to build the pyramids, we're either overlooking or we're disconnected or we just don't have access to. And that's the thing. Like this guy talking about rebooting and restarting. Part of rebooting and restarting could be that we've lost technology, some form of technology that was destroyed or that just didn't last. Some form of technology we might have built didn't last. It was destroyed, and we were disconnected on it. But I don't think we'll ever know. We'll ever know. Some things just aren't meant to be known. Like who created us, I don't think we'll ever know. Who built the pyramids, I don't think we'll ever know. The Nazca lines in Peru, I don't think we'll ever know. A lot of these big structures and things of that nature that we can't explain, I don't think we'll ever know. And if we can't reproduce these things to this day, that should let us know there's some kind of disconnect. There's some lost technology, some lost information or process or way of doing things, that we're disconnected from. Because, I mean, if we can't build the pyramids to this day, there's clearly something that's going over our heads, something we have missed or we've lost or we're disconnected from. Once again, I thank you for tuning in, Paul Pickett Podcast, and I'm out. Peace.